So 1952, I was going to Nichols High School, and on my way to Nichols, I saw this little bakery, and it's called Ulrich's Bakery. So I went inside and just asked them if they needed some help. And they said, yeah, they could use some help. Come in here Saturday. So I went in there and I'd work Saturday and Sunday, mostly cleaning up and doing whatever chores they had. And I actually got to make really good friends with them, where I went over there every Sunday and helped them clean up, and I would even have dinner with them. So they invited me for dinner, and then they would bring me home. So it was like a family thing after a while. So after I left Ulrich's, I wanted to make some more money. So I went to Swagman Brothers down on St. Claude, and I was asking them if they were doing any hiring, and they said, yeah, but there was a whole bunch of kids that was looking for work, and they said they hired every morning. So I said, well, I could work in the evening after school for a little while, and then I could work Saturdays and Sundays. So that's kind of what I did. And what we would do, we would bag the groceries, and then back then they could afford to get 4 or 5 bags of groceries for hardly anything, and we would carry the bags to the car. We had a little truck that we could put them in and bring them. And they'd give us 25-cent tip, 50-cent, dollar, whatever they had. And they hired us every day. So every Saturday, mainly Saturdays and Sundays were the best days. And they'd have 10, 15 kids out there to hire. And sometimes I'd kind of like want to goof off one day. And I'd be hiding in the back. And the lady, Miss Elsie, used to hire the people. And she would say, okay, Walter, get up here. You're going to work today. So that was it. I worked every Saturday and Sunday. And after I started, I was making 35 cents an hour in tips. I'd say sometimes I was making maybe $30, $40 a week. And I would give all the money to my dad, and then he would give me $15 back for my gas money, for my car, and for my lunch money at school. And that was it. Well, I quit school in the 11th grade and then joined the Army National Guard at the age of 17. My dad had a sign for me to go ahead and get in at 17. They would let you do that back then. But it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it, enjoyed serving my country, and now I'm able to join the USAA because of that. Then I took the International Correspondence course to finish my education, and that was a good thing. Well, we're going to talk about my time during the National Guard. I was in there for 8 full years. So when I first joined the National Guard, I started out in the the 935th Infantry Division, and I didn't know a lot about what was going on, so they put me in like a telephone thing where you would ring the telephone and talk to a guy down the road, and that wasn't that good. So I started helping out in the trucking section. When they found out that I was working at a trucking company, they immediately gave me a promotion, made me a private first class, and put me in there working on the trucks. About 8 months later, they made me a corporal and put me in charge of the trucks. I mean, it sounded pretty good, but that was a lot of work. And while you're doing that, you're still doing your regular job and going home and doing all your regular chores. So I continued doing that, and then they finally made me a sergeant and put me in charge of the whole trucking division. And I did that for 5 years. So then you had to re-up a year at a time. So I decided to transfer to the 225th Engineers. I found out all my buddies from Nichols High School, they were all over there. So I said, well, let me go over there. And I said, look, I don't want to be in charge of nothing. I just want to finish my last 3 years. So they said, okay. So I got over there. In 30 days, they put me in charge of the B company. I was in charge of all the bulldozers and making roads and airfields, platoon bridges and everything. And we were kind of like 100% mobile, which means that they could just put you right in the service. At the time I was in the service, the career conflict was going on. And the one thing is I was a 5A class, and that because I had 3 kids. And that kind of kept me from going overseas. So Louie and I met this guy, his name was Frenchie. Really, really good friends. We enjoyed it because he lived in a little small town of Wauklowski, Louisiana. Used to be really fun to go down there. And we'd go down and spend the weekend, sleep on the floor on blankets and pillows. And we would go fishing and swimming in the lake and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we told him we needed a job. And he said they were hiring where he was working at a company called Charlotte Steelworks. So Louie and I go over there and we applied, and they hired us. They needed help bad. So we got to working there. I learned how to weld and cut with a cutting torch and all kinds of stuff. And we worked there about 6 months, and they found out that we wasn't 18 years old. I don't know, somebody must have ratted us out, I don't know. But anyway, they told us we had to leave. We could come back when we were 18 and they'd hire us back. But in the meantime, we found other work. My Uncle Sam, who's my mother's brother, told me they were hiring that truck equipment company on Chapatula Street. So I went up there and I told them what I was doing. I was welding and I knew how to cut steel with a torch and everything. And that was all the stuff that they were doing. They were putting bodies on trucks, and they were putting fifth wheels on tractor trailers and stuff. So they were happy to hire me, $1.55 an hour. I stayed there for the next 4 years. When I started working with truck equipment company, I was just turning the age of 18 and got married and started a family. Walter was born in 1956 and Terry was born in 1957, and we were living on Peace Corps Street. I don't know if I mentioned that I had my first car was a 1942 Pontiac. My stepsister Pat married this guy Johnny Ford, who was a great guy, and he sold me his old 42 Pontiac for $45. It was a great little car. The only thing is it had blue windshields. Don't ask me where the blue windshields came from. They were great during the day when we were driving. It was like wearing sunglasses. But at night, you had to drive with your head out the window because you couldn't see the road. But anyway, we got used to it. It was just kind of windy at night. But we used to do all kinds of things with that car. We had so much fun. So my cousin Louie and I went crabbing, and we caught about a half a bushel of crabs, put them in the trunk, bring them home, and got home, took the crabs out, we cooked them, everybody had a good time. 2 or 3 days later, the car started stinking and smelling. Man, we didn't know what happened, so we took the whole trunk apart. Lo and behold, a crab had got out the basket, went underneath the spare tire. So that was a pretty stinky deal. And especially back then, you didn't have air conditioning or nothing. So we decided to get it all nice and clean, so we went and bought some Blue Waltz perfume. That was really popular back then. It was about 10 or 15 cents a bottle. Anyway, we buy this thing, we threw it all over the whole trunk. We figured that would get rid of it. Man, when you got in the car, all you could smell was blue waltz perfume mixed with crab smell. And I mean, it took like about 2 months for that thing to go away. Well, all only ones rode in the car was me and Louis. Nobody else wanted to get in the car. But anyway, that was one of our stories. So, after we got married, we got to live in Teresa's mother's house. She had a double on Peace Corps Street. And it was nice enough, she charged us $25 a month. Good thing, because I was only making $45 a week. But anyway, the deal was I got a nice cheap rate of rent, but I had to cut the grass and do any kind of chores around the house, leaking faucets, toilet problems, anything. But I was glad to take care of them because it was really nice and well, much appreciated.